The anomaly. High Admiral Zena Val stood motionless before the quantum display, her crystalline form refracting the soft light of countless stars. The massive observation deck of the Federated World's Central Command offered an unparalleled view of the galaxy's core, but her attention was fixed on a single point of light at the edge of their territory. "Impossible," she whispered, her voice carrying the harmonic resonance typical of her species. "Run the analysis again." Chief Science Officer Kelrath, a towering figure whose exoskeleton shifted through shades of deep blue, manipulated the controls with his secondary arms. "High Admiral, we've run the analysis 17 times. The results remain consistent. It's a single vessel, approximately 800 meters in length, and it's what, Kelrath? Speak freely. It's breaking at least 6 laws of physics we considered immutable. The drive signature doesn't match anything in our database, and the energy readings." He paused, mandibles clicking in agitation. "They suggest the ship is somehow existing in multiple dimensional states simultaneously." Zena's crystalline surface rippled with concern. After 3 centuries of serving the Federated Worlds, she had encountered countless species and technologies. But this was different. The vessel approached their borders with casual disregard for what should be possible. "What do we know about these humans?" she asked, turning to face the assembled command staff. First Contact Specialist Mira-san, her tentacles wrapped formally around her ceremonial staff, consulted her neural interface. "Very little, High Admiral. They achieved primitive spaceflight barely 2 centuries ago. We classified them as a Category 3 emerging civilization and scheduled first contact for approximately 50 years from now. And yet," Zena gestured to the display, "here they are, with technology that makes our most advanced ships look like children's toys." The command center fell silent as new data streamed across the displays. The human vessel had adjusted its course slightly, avoiding a spatial anomaly that their own sensors hadn't even detected yet. "They're calling," Communications Director Prell announced, his bioluminescent patches pulsing with excitement. "On screen," Zena ordered, straightening her form to its full height. The image that appeared showed a simple command deck, far less ornate than any Federation vessel. A human stood at its center, bipedal, soft-skinned, and surprisingly small. They wore a simple dark uniform with silver markings. "Greetings, High Admiral Val," the human said in perfect Federation standard. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Horizon. We come seeking peaceful contact." Zena noticed immediately that the human had used her correct title, despite the Federation never having contact with Earth. "Captain Chen, you are well informed for a first contact situation." The human's face curved in what Zena's cultural database identified as a smile. "We believe in being prepared, Admiral. We've been studying your civilization for some time. Though we apologize for not introducing ourselves sooner. We wanted to wait until we could meet as equals." A ripple of unease passed through the command staff. The Federation's stealth technology was considered undetectable. The implications of the human's casual admission were staggering. "One ship is an unusual choice for first contact," Zena observed carefully. "Most species send fleets to demonstrate their strength." "Ah," Captain Chen's smile widened slightly. "We considered that, but we felt sending more ships might be." She paused, choosing her words with obvious care. "Intimidating." Before Zena could respond, Kelrath's instruments began screaming alerts. "High Admiral, the human vessel. It's phasing." Multiple spatial signatures appearing. On the main display, the horizon seemed to blur, its form becoming fluid, impossible. For a brief moment, it existed in dozens of places simultaneously, each version as solid and real as the original. Then, just as suddenly, it reintegrated into a single ship. "Our apologies," Captain Chen said, looking genuinely contrite. "A slight calibration issue with our probability drive. Won't happen again." Zena's crystalline form vibrated with a frequency that her species reserved for moments of profound revelation. Captain Chen, I believe we have much to discuss. Would you be willing to dock with our station? Of course, Admiral. Though, Chen glanced at something off-screen. You might want to adjust your quantum shielding frequency first. We're reading some instability in the harmonics. Kelrath quickly checked his instruments. She's right. How did they? That variance is at the Planck scale. Thank you for the warning, Captain, Zena said, even as her mind raced with implications. We'll make the necessary adjustments. As the communication ended, Zena turned to her staff. It seems, she said slowly, that we need to reassess our understanding of humanity's capabilities. And perhaps, she added, watching the single human ship that had casually rewritten their understanding of physics, our own place in the galaxy. First Contact Specialist Han spoke softly, her tentacles writhing with nervous energy. High Admiral, why do you think they chose now to reveal themselves? Zena studied the horizon, its seemingly simple design belying the impossible technology it contained. I suspect, Specialist San, that we're about to find out. And I have a feeling we're not going to like the answer. First Contact. The docking procedure was unlike anything the Federation had ever witnessed. The horizon didn't so much dock with the station as merge with it, its hull seeming to flow like liquid where it met the station's structure. High Admiral Zenaval watched through multiple sensor feeds as the human vessel achieved a perfect seal without any of the standard docking protocols. Their technology integration is seamless, Kelrath marveled, all four arms working frantically across his instruments. It's as if their ship is convincing our station's matter to cooperate. Captain Chen emerged from the docking port alone, carrying nothing but a small silver device the size of her palm. She walked with a casual confidence that seemed at odds with the gravity of first contact between civilizations. Thank you for hosting me, Admiral Val, Chen said, bowing slightly. I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty of updating your station's environmental systems. They were struggling a bit to maintain optimal conditions for all 17 species present. Zena's crystalline form flickered with surprise. The station's environmental issues had been a source of constant frustration, requiring teams of engineers to maintain delicate balances between different atmospheric needs. You modified our systems without permission. First Contact Specialist San's tentacles writhed with indignation. Modified isn't quite right, Chen replied, still smiling. We helped them realize their full potential. Your technology is quite elegant. It just needed a gentle nudge toward its optimal state. Before anyone could respond, the silver device in Chen's hand projected a holographic display unlike anything they'd seen. It showed not just the physical structure of the station, but layers of probability, quantum states, and what appeared to be the actual fabric of space-time itself. Perhaps we should discuss why we're here, Chen said, her expression growing serious. Your Federation stands at a crossroads, though you don't know it yet. What do you mean? Zena asked, moving closer to study the impossible hologram. 3 months ago, by your time measurement, we detected something approaching the galaxy, something that exists outside normal space-time. Chen manipulated the display, showing what looked like a tear in reality itself. We call them void hunters. They feed on consciousness, on the very essence of sentient life. The assembled Federation officials watched in horror as the display showed entire star systems being consumed, not just destroyed but erased from existence itself. Why? Kelrath's exoskeleton had paled to an almost white shade. Why are you telling us this? Because, Chen said softly, you've been looking at the universe wrong. Your Federation has achieved remarkable things, but you've been building on universal constants that aren't actually constant. Reality is far more flexible than you imagine. She touched the silver device again, and suddenly the station's viewports showed something new. Layers upon layers of reality, dimensions folded within dimensions. And in those impossible spaces, there were ships. Thousands of human vessels hidden in the spaces between spaces. We're not here to show off our technology or establish diplomatic relations, Chen continued. We're here because humanity has been standing guard over this galaxy for decades, and now we need your help. Our help? San laughed incredulously. What could we possibly offer? Everything. Chen said with absolute conviction. Your Federation has developed along different paths than humanity. You've mastered aspects of reality we barely understand. Your crystalline computing. She nodded to Zena. Your biological quantum entanglement. A gesture to Xan. Your gravitational manipulation. To Kelrath. Different approaches, different perspectives. All vital. Zena moved to the nearest viewport, studying the impossible fleet hidden in plain sight. How long have you been watching us? Since your first faster-than-light test, Chen admitted. We saw potential in your species. All of them. We've been quietly deflecting cosmic disasters, redirecting space-time anomalies, keeping the Void Hunters at bay. But they're growing stronger, and even humanity can't fight them alone. And if we refuse? Kelrath asked. Chen's smile faded completely. Then we'll continue protecting you anyway, because that's what we do. But our chances of long-term survival will drop significantly. She paused, looking each official in the eye. We don't want subjects or servants. We want partners who see the universe differently than we do. The Void Hunters are coming, and they can't be stopped by force alone. We need innovation, creativity, new ways of thinking. The silver device projected one final image, a simulation of Federation and human technologies working in concert, creating effects that should have been impossible even by their new understanding of physics. Your move, Chen said quietly. But know that whatever you decide, you're no longer alone in this fight. Humanity stands with you, whether you stand with us or not. Zena turned to her staff, seeing the same mix of fear, wonder, and possibility reflected in their various physiologies. They had thought they were meeting representatives of a new spacefaring race. Instead, they had discovered they'd been living under the protection of giants who treated laws of physics as mere suggestions. The real question was, were they ready to become giants themselves? Hidden depths. The Federation Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from over 300 species sat in stunned silence as Captain Chen's holographic display showed them what had been hiding beneath their perceived reality all along. This, Chen gestured to a swirling pattern of quantum probability, is what we call the deep layer. Your scientists have theorized about it, but you've been looking at it backwards. It's not that reality has multiple layers. It's that what you consider reality is just the most stable configuration of infinite possibilities. High Admiral Zena watched as several council members physically recoiled from the display. The Mathani representative, whose species communicated through complex mathematical equations, was literally glowing with excitement. Impossible, declared Supreme Theorist Vax of the Logic Collective. The energy requirements alone ruled. Energy is just another form of probability, Chen interrupted gently. Watch. She held up her hand, and suddenly a star appeared above it. A perfect, miniature star, radiating actual heat and light. That's not a hologram, Kelrath breathed, his sensors whirring. It's real. A genuine stellar mass, but contained. How are you containing it? We're not. Chen closed her hand, and the star vanished. We just convinced that section of space that it was more probable to host a star temporarily. The energy was always there. We just rearranged it. A new figure emerged from what had appeared to be a solid wall. Another human, wearing the same simple uniform as Chen. Sorry I'm late, she said. Had to deal with a small problem in the Carina sector. Council members, this is Dr. Maya Patel, our chief physicist, Chen introduced. Doctor, would you like to explain what you just prevented? Patel nodded, touching her own silver device. The display changed to show a massive stellar explosion. 3 hours ago, a star in the Carina sector was about to go supernova. The explosion would have destabilized a crucial probability nexus, causing a cascade failure across 17 different layers of space-time. We have monitoring stations throughout that sector, Zena interjected. We detected nothing unusual. You were looking at the surface, Paddle explained. The real problem was occurring in the quantum substrate. The star wasn't just dying. It was being killed. The Void Hunters are getting more sophisticated in their attacks. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, questions, and expressions of disbelief. Chen waited patiently until order was restored. How did you stop it? The Mathani representative's mathematical patterns were practically strobing with curiosity. I convinced the star that it existed in a quantum state where it had already survived its death point, Paddle said, as if this was a perfectly normal thing to do. It's stable now, though we'll need to monitor it for the next few cycles to ensure the probability matrix holds. What Dr. Paddle isn't mentioning, Chen added with a slight smile, is that she had to calculate and implement this solution in under 3 minutes, while simultaneously maintaining probability shields around 12 inhabited systems. The logic collective representative's cybernetic eyes weared as they recalculated. The computational requirements for such operations would exceed the combined processing power of every computer in the Federation. That's because you're trying to compute it, Paddle said. We don't compute probability. We negotiate with it. Before anyone could process that statement, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Kelrath's exoskeleton turned almost white as he checked his instruments. Multiple contacts, he shouted. Something's tearing through the deep layer. Energy signatures unlike anything we've ever. The entire station shuddered. Through the quantum-reinforced windows, the council members watched in horror as space itself seemed to tear open. Through the tears came something. Not ships, not beings, but absences. Holes in reality that moved with terrible purpose. Void Hunters, Chen said grimly. Earlier than we expected. They must have detected our revelations to the council. How many? Zena demanded, already activating the station's defenses. Numbers don't apply to them the same way, Paddle explained, her hands dancing over her device. They exist as probability cancellations. Where they pass, the chance of existence itself drops to 0. The station's conventional weapons fired, passing harmlessly through the approaching entities. Several council members began procedures for emergency evacuation. No, Chen's voice cut through the panic. You need to see this. You need to understand what we're really fighting. She nodded to Patul, who pressed her palm against the station's wall. Suddenly, every being in the chamber could see, not just with their eyes or sensors, but with a new sense that showed them reality as it truly was. The Void Hunters were more horrifying in their true form. Wounds in the fabric of existence, anti-probability given purpose. But around the station, previously invisible, was something else. A web of light and possibility, anchored by human ships that existed in multiple states simultaneously. They weren't just defending the station. They were holding reality together around it. This, Chen said quietly as the battle began, is why we revealed ourselves. Not to show you our power, but to show you what's coming. Because to fight them, we need to do more than bend reality. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, optical sensors, and other sensory organs of each council member. We need to rewrite it completely. And for that, we need you all. The coming storm. The battle unfolding around the Federation station defied conventional description. The Void Hunters moved like inverse lightning through the quantum layers, their non-existence threatening to unravel the very fabric of space-time. Against them, the human ships danced through probability itself, each vessel existing in multiple states simultaneously. But they were losing. Our standard containment protocols aren't working, Dr. Patil announced, her fingers moving across her device in increasingly complex patterns. They've evolved since our last encounter. They're learning to propagate through the probability matrices faster than we can stabilize them. High Admiral Zena watched as another section of space simply ceased to exist, leaving behind a perfect nothing that hurt to look at. How do you usually fight these things? We don't fight them, Captain Chen said, never taking her eyes off the battle. We convince reality they aren't there. but they're adapting to that approach. Suddenly, the Matheni representatives' crystalline form pulsed with inspiration. Their mathematical communications became so excited that the translation systems struggled to keep up. Your probability manipulation. It follows patterns similar to our ancestral quantum harmonics. Kelrath's exoskeleton shifted to a deep purple of intense thought. And the way you're trying to contain them. It's not unlike our gravitational folding techniques, just applied to probability instead of space. Chen and Paddle exchanged a quick look. We were hoping you'd see that, Chen said. Every species in the Federation has developed unique ways of manipulating different aspects of reality, ways we never thought of. Because you were busy thinking in terms of probability negotiation, Zena realized. Just as we were limited by our own paradigms. Exactly. Patel's hand stilled over her device. We don't need to fight them the same way we always have. We need to fight them in ways they've never encountered. The station shuddered as another void hunter passed nearby. The human's probability field barely held. We need to move quickly, Chen announced. Every Federation species with unique spatial manipulation technology. We need your insights now. Don't try to adapt to our methods. Show us how you would approach this using your own understanding. What followed was perhaps the fastest exchange of scientific knowledge in galactic history. The Mathani shared their quantum harmonic equations. The Logic Collective offered their multidimensional computational models. Kelrath's people provided their gravitational manipulation theories. Species after species contributed, each offering a different way of looking at and manipulating reality. Dr. Patel worked furiously, integrating these diverse approaches into something new. This is beautiful, she muttered. We've been trying to convince reality they don't exist, but what if we? She looked up at the assembled council. We need your help. All of you, not just your theories, your active participation. Every ship, every computer, every unique form of technology you have. We're going to try something that's never been done before. We're going to rewrite reality. Someone asked. No, Chen said with a fierce smile. We're going to let reality rewrite itself, using every different way of understanding it that we collectively possess. The Void Hunters expect us to fight them with probability manipulation. They don't expect us to fight them with hundreds of different technologies, all working in concert. Zena didn't hesitate. All Federation ships, this is High Admiral Val. Upload your complete technological specifications to the human vessels. Full cooperation is authorized. Across space, Federation ships began linking with their human counterparts. Each vessel's unique technology added another layer to the emerging defense. The Mathani's quantum harmonics resonated with human probability fields. The Logic Collective's computational models merged with spatial manipulation techniques. Gravitational folding combined with reality negotiation. The Void Hunters faltered for the first time, encountering something they couldn't simply negate, because it existed in too many different ways simultaneously. It's working, Patel breathed. The overlapping approaches are creating something new, something they can't adapt to because it keeps changing. Through the station's windows, they watched as reality itself seemed to ripple. The Void Hunters began to retreat, unable to maintain their non-existence in the face of existence being defined in hundreds of different, simultaneous ways. But before anyone could celebrate, a new alarm sounded. Dr. Patel's face went pale as she checked her readings. Those weren't the hunters, she said quietly. That was just the scouting party. The main force. It's coming. And it's bringing something worse than void with it. Chen looked at the assembled Federation representatives. Well, she said, I guess it's time to see what else we can create together. Because what's coming next will make this battle look like a practice run. In the space around the station, human and Federation ships hung together in their unlikely alliance, preparing for a war that would determine not just the fate of their civilizations, but the very nature of existence itself. Together we rise. The fabric of space fractured like breaking glass, but the sound it made couldn't be heard, only felt in the deepest parts of consciousness. Through these cosmic wounds poured what Dr. Patel's instruments could only describe as anti-probability cascades. The main force of the Void Hunters, led by something that registered as a singularity of impossibility. By all that exists, Kelrath whispered, his sensors overloading. That thing. It's a probability negation engine. It doesn't just consume reality. It makes existence itself impossible. Captain Chen stood at the center of the Federation Station's command deck, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of species, each contributing their unique understanding of the universe. Now we see why they sent scouts. They were testing our defenses, analyzing how we combined our technologies. Can we stop that? High Admiral Zena asked, her crystalline form vibrating with frequencies of deep concern. Dr. Patel's hands flew over her control interface, integrating data from thousands of ships. Not with any single approach. But maybe. She looked up at the assembled representatives. We need to go further than just combining our technologies. We need to create something new, something that's never existed before. The Mathani representatives' mathematical patterns shifted rapidly. What if we treated the quantum harmonics as a base language? Each species' technology could contribute its own grammar to a new way of describing reality itself. Yes, the Logic Collective's representatives' cybernetic eyes whirred with excitement. Our computational models could serve as translation matrices between different technological approaches. As the Void Hunters approached, something remarkable happened. Each Federation species began offering not just their technology, but their fundamental understanding of how reality worked. The crystalline beings shared their perception of universe as frequency. The energy beings contributed their understanding of existence as flow. Species after species added their unique perspective to an emerging metamodel of reality. Chen smiled. This is what we hoped for. Not just cooperation. Synthesis. Through the quantum-reinforced windows, they watched as human ships began moving in impossible patterns, each vessel incorporating hundreds of different technological approaches simultaneously. Federation ships joined them, their various systems harmonizing in ways their designers had never imagined possible. The Void Hunters struck with reality-negating force, but this time they met something unprecedented. Where before they had faced probability manipulation, now they encountered existence itself expressing its right to be through countless different methods simultaneously. Look at the readings, Kelrath exclaimed. The overlapping approaches aren't just defending against them. They're actually forcing them to partially exist. Dr. Patel nodded grimly. Can't negate reality if you can't agree on what reality is. Every species' different approach creates another anchor point for existence itself. The battle that followed defied description in any single language or technical framework. Human probability manipulation merged with Federation quantum harmonics, creating zones where existence was defined by music. Logic collective computations combined with crystalline frequency manipulation to generate sheets of pure mathematics that sliced through void space. Gravity wells folded around energy matrices, creating pockets where physical laws themselves were redefined by consensus. The Void Hunters, for the first time in their incomprehensible existence, began to fail. Their negation engine, designed to unmake reality itself, couldn't cope with reality being simultaneously defined in millions of different equally valid ways. They're retreating, Zena announced, watching through multiple sensor arrays. No, they're being transformed. Our combined understanding of existence is forcing them to exist, Chen finished quietly. Which is the one thing they can't survive? The negation engine imploded, taking its Void Hunters with it. Where they had been, new stars burst into being. Existence asserting itself through probability and possibility, through quantum harmonics and gravitational mathematics, through every method of understanding reality that their combined civilizations had conceived. As the Federation station erupted in celebrations, Captain Chen turned to High Admiral Zena. This was never about humanity showing off our technology. It was about proving that no single way of understanding the universe is complete. We needed you, all of you, to save everything. Dr. Patel was already studying readings from the battle. The technological synthesis we achieved, it's revolutionary. Every species contributed something unique, something that could only work in combination with others. We've fundamentally changed our understanding of what's possible. No, Xena corrected, her crystalline form glowing with new frequencies. We've changed our understanding of what's necessary. The Void Hunters will return, or something worse will emerge. But now we know that our greatest strength isn't in any single approach to understanding reality. It's in understanding that reality itself. Chen smiled, looking out at the combined fleet of human and Federation ships, is far too big for any one perspective. We needed each other. We always will. As the immediate danger passed, the real work began. Thousands of ships, hundreds of species, dozens of different ways of manipulating and understanding reality, all working together not just to defend existence, but to explore what was possible when every perspective was valued, when every different way of seeing the universe was recognized as vital. The humans had come in one ship to show they weren't a threat. They stayed with thousands to prove they were allies. But in the end, it was the combination of all their different approaches that had saved reality itself, and opened the door to possibilities that none of them, alone, could have imagined.